This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College. Today, Coach Scoville and I will talk about the games last week, what's coming up this week, and how the Lady Commodores are doing. So, Lady Commodores right now 4-0 overall, which says how we did last week. Ranked number 1 in the state coaches poll, ranked number 1 in the NJCAA national poll. So, not a bad start, Coach.
Well, you know, a win is a win, and a couple of them have been kind of ugly. But at this point in time, with everything that's happened to us and the lack of veteran play from last year, we'll take the win.
So now we hosted Vin Sims, ranked number 21 in the country. A great program, well coached, and we defeated them 79-71. At halftime, we were down by 3.
Yeah, and we got down by 9 in the second half, so we had to make a big comeback, so I was pleased with that. But our performance and our execution, we were sloppy, a lot of turnovers, lack of execution, couldn't get the running game going, and we just really didn't do a very good job with team defense. That was probably the biggest part of the Achilles heel, is we just didn't stop their dribble drive and dribble penetration, got in foul trouble, and they just kind of had their way getting to the goal.
So, because it looks like Vin Sims was 0 of 4 from three-point line, so they don't shoot a lot of outside balls, so they're trying to get to the rim.
They love to get to the rim. Got tremendous athletes. They had a really special player that, you know, we put our defensive stopper on her, and we stopped her to 18 points, which might have been a good night. She had scored 28 the game before ours, but tremendous athlete, a big-time player, and we've struggled trying to defend her, and probably lucky for us, she went out with a cramp with 1:30 to go in the game.
So now, you know, you were down by 3 at halftime, come out and won the third quarter 26-19. There's that nice start in that third quarter that we seem to have a lot of. Yeah,
we finally came back and then took a 4-point lead going into the fourth quarter and kind of held on, and Ty hit some big free throws down the stretch. So that was a good win for us, though. That was a good test against a very, very good team, very balanced, fundamentals, athletic, well coached. Harry's a tremendous coach, so that was a real good win for us.
Now, you talked about Ty. Scored 10 points. She was perfect from the floor and from the free throw line that night. So that's a great effort, and especially in free throws down the stretch. Lady Commodore shot 89.5%. from the free throw line, which
that's refreshing from last year. You know, could never buy one last year, it seemed like, and so that was a great night of, you know, probably the difference in the game that we did hit our free throws, and especially tied down the stretch when they fouled and put her on the line.
And then we were 4-19 from three-point line for 21.1%. Yeah. Still struggling a little bit from the three-point line.
We did that night, didn't shoot well, but. You know, we've got some perimeter shooters, so hopefully that'll get better as we move along. And if we can get Raven Fox back in the lineup, I think that'll definitely help with some more perimeter shooting.
So now the turnovers for the night was down to 13, which is not bad.
Yeah, that was good. We did a better job of handling the ball, but just didn't execute well. We were just playing nervous and rushing things and just not kind of playing through our plays and executing to perfection. And you're never going to get to perfection, but you're going to get close at times, you hope.
Now, Taylor had another big night, 25 points for the Lady Commodores.
She played well. Maria played well. Maria kind of played more like the Maria that we're going to have this season to compete, and shot the ball well. So, you know, we had a good night.
So, Coach Maria had 20. Lasagna had 13. Maria was 3 of 8 from three-point line.
Right.
7 of 20 from the floor, so not a bad night. And Lasagna Edwards, 13 out of her.
Yeah.
Most of those players, Maria played 37 minutes that night.
Yeah. We our post game, we get a little bit of foul trouble at times. Lasagna and Julia are kind of trying to find their way defensively, being a little bit undersized in the post and having to change how they play and try to adjust to get some experience. So they'll get better, but they're very, very good athletes, but they kind of get out of position at times.
So now, we then played Florida Southwestern State and defeated them 85-51. It was 28-14, 24-12, 17-10, 16-15. So looks like almost every Lady Commodore got minutes that night.
We did. Everybody got to play, got good minutes, and we had a really, really good first half. I think we had 52 at the half. The running game looked good, transition ball looked good, defense was pretty solid early on, and so we just kind of looked like a Gulf Coast team yesterday, especially for the first half.
And only turned the ball over 8 times.
Yeah, we did an excellent. That was probably our best game so far this season of executing and doing it as a team, defensively and offensively. That was probably the most solid performance we've had so far.
And if we look at it, 11 of 18 for 61.1% of the free throw line, down a little bit from the night or the game before. 12 of 27, 44.4% from three-point line. Now that's up.
That's a lot of threes. Shayla Bennett really had some nice stroke yesterday, and Maria. I think the two of them hit 10 of the 12.
And then we had 31 of 75 for 41.3% from the floor. So Lady Commodores numbers in those areas are really good.
Yeah.
And then Taylor, 14 points, Castro with 15, and Bennett looks like came off the bench and gave you 17 last night.
She was solid. She was really hot from threes, and that is kind of her specialty. She's kind of been struggling and adjusting to the athleticism. So yesterday was really, really nice to watch her be able to stroke from long range.
And so she was 5 of 10. Castro was 5 of 8 from three-point lines, and so. Nice performance.
Yeah, so, 3 points.
So now, Vincent was nationally, every outing the Lady Commodores have had, when you go away and play, you played a nationally ranked team and put them in there. And in a little bit, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But right now, before we move on, Coach, let's talk about 6 Lady Commodores signed last week.
They sure did.
And I think we have a little bit of footage on that signing. We'll let you talk about it and describe it to. Or actually, you can go ahead and start talking about it if you want to. Who all signed and where did they go?
Well, the first one was Amanda Pascal. You know, she came into the signing day a day after she had just had surgery, knee surgery. So she struggled to get in the lobby and sign her scholarship, but she's going to the University of Kentucky and play for Matthew Mitchell, and very, very pleased with that. I think Amanda will be a tremendous asset to their environment, the way they play, and so it's a great sign for Amanda and a good pickup for Kentucky. And then as we go down the others, we have Lasagna Edwards, who signed with Middle Tennessee, and they love to play an athletic style, and so she fits their program perfectly, and their program fits her perfectly. Fatou Zion signed with Purdue, and her ability to shoot the hook shot, it probably fits their style, and she loved the family atmosphere that they provide. And probably the best part about that is Fatou will be 45 minutes from her brother who lives in Indiana. So, you know, they all had good signs and made good decisions in what they're doing. And then the next one was Raven Fox there on the end, signed with Syracuse. She signed with Syracuse out of high school, so this was kind of a re-sign to get back where she started. Maria Castro signed with Oklahoma State. She'll be playing for Jim Littell, who was the longtime coach at Seward Community College that beat us back when we thought we should have won the national title. Then Shaterica Bird O'Neill signed with Troy University, and that's a good sign for her and them. And of course, then Amanda's there sitting on the end, and who had already signed with Kentucky.
So great outing for the Lady Commodores and moving on. So now tomorrow night, which will be Tuesday, Lady Commodores will play L.B. Wallace at 5, and then the men will play at 7. Yeah. So it'll give Commodore fans to come out and see 2 games in one night, kind of like it'll be once we start the Panhandle race.
Yes.
So what do we know about L.B. Wallace, Coach?
Well, they're well coached. Ricky Knight coaches both teams, and they're always athletic and maybe a little undersized. So hopefully them coming to our house, if we can continue on the path that we did from yesterday and play well and play our style, it'll be a great outing for us to share with the men. We went there last year, so they're returning the trip this year. So I think, like you say, it'll be a great night for our community to come out and see both teams on the same night and see kind of what we're all trying to get ready for January.
And so now, he coaches both the men's and women's teams?
He coaches both teams. He's been doing that for many, many years. I've known Ricky since I coached at Paxton High School.
Oh.
So he's been there a long time and does a great job. And, I bless him. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's kind of like being a head coach and the athletic director.
Yeah, probably a little bit both. Yeah, I probably got the easier job to coaching 2 sets and different genders. That's quite the challenge.
So I can see that being a challenge. Now, on Friday and Saturday, look like you go over to Northwest Florida State. The previous 2 outings played a nationally ranked team. Friday and Saturday, you're going to play 2 nationally ranked teams. Yeah. So we will On Friday at 1:30, we will play Central Florida, ranked 23rd in the country.
Yes. Well, Central Florida's they're very well coached with Tommy there, and they're going to be athletic. They're going to have some size. They're always, a big challenge in the Mid-Florida Conference, and then Daytona Beach, of course, represented the Mid at the national tournament last year. Had a great team, so those two games will be big for us. And of course, there's an advantage. We get to go over to Niceville and play 2 games, maybe get ready for Panhandle play. But those will be tough outings for us. And the men will be playing right behind us, so we'll be traveling with the men that day. So anybody that wants to come watch the men and women play again, we'll be playing right behind each other in Niceville on Friday and Saturday.
And folks that haven't been to Northwest Florida's gym,
oh yeah,
it's a great environment to play in. It's an arena style. The floor's down, everybody's elevated, the goals, there's no walls behind them, and play 2 games there before the conference, because sometimes our Lady Commodores struggle in there when you move those walls out behind those goals.
Probably not sometimes, probably all the time we struggle in there, but we've come away with some wins, but they've been ugly. But hopefully, maybe we go over there and struggle again, but hopefully, whether they're ugly or look good, we'll try to come away with a couple of victories over there.
And then we're going to play Daytona State, ranked 9th in the state coaches poll, ranked 24th in the country. So 2 back-to-back road games to get against 2 teams in the Region 8.
Yes. Yep.
So in other words, who scheduled all these? Because when you finish this month, you will be played 5 nationally ranked teams.
Yeah, we sure will. And hopefully, whoever scheduled that needs to lose their job on scheduling. So I'll be glad to give up the scheduling routine. I'm going to blame Austin, but unfortunately, I'm the one who signed off on it.
But on the other hand, Lady Commodores playing against quality teams early will pay dividends late into the season. So that's what's coming up there. Let's take a little bit of time to look at it. Tallahassee right now 3-0, scored 111 points their last outing, 98 points before that, putting up big numbers.
Big numbers. Tallahassee's got a beautiful roster, and obviously that beautiful roster's gone to work because they're scoring a lot of points.
So then Northwest Florida 3-1. Northwest Florida is Northwest Florida.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody always kind of at the beginning says, I don't think they're as good. And they always, they've been playing in the championship game for the last few years. So I don't ever listen to those preseason comments about Northwest Florida. They'll be ready.
That's the reason I said that's Northwest Florida.
Absolutely.
That's Northwest Florida.
Absolutely.
Chipola 2-0, big victory against, we've talked about last week, defeated Trinity Valley 78-70.
Yeah, that's a big win for them. And again, that just shows you that Chipola is going to be one of the teams that probably vies for a national championship. We got Chipola and Tallahassee, who are probably 2 of the best teams in the country for sure.
Okay, there's my other one. I was going to say I left out Pensacola. Pensacola right now 3-0. Had 2 games, 106 and 111 points, and they're 2 of the 3 games.
Yeah, their guards, they're a little bit undersized like the rest of us, but their guards are super quick, and they love to press and play up tempo. I really like what she's done. Hopefully I won't like it too much when we start conference play, but Penny's done a really, really good job of building that team over there, and they look really good so far this season.
And Tallahassee and Pensacola, we go to their place twice.
Yeah, unfortunately. You didn't have to mention that. It's just November. We could have talked about that another coach's score.
We could talk about that, but you got 2 points, or 2 teams that's scoring over 100 points. Yeah. So that's a lot of points for a women's basketball game.
Yes, it is.
So, Coach, we got just a little bit of time left. Anything you want to tell the Commodore fans?
Well, I just want to remind everybody about the December 11th game at 2 p.m. University of Florida is playing North Carolina A&T for a Play for K game. We'll recognize cancer survivors with the hospitality room and at halftime. So we hope that those people will call and sign up for the list to be recognized. And hopefully we've got tickets on sale. We have pink T-shirts on sale for $10 that we can buy at any game, or just call us or come by the Wellness Building, and we'll be glad to get you ready for that game.
Yeah. So for Coach Scoville, I'm James Baxley. We'll be right back, Commodore fans, with Coach Jay Powell and talk about how the Commodores did on the Commodore Sports Network. Welcome back, Commodore fans. I have Coach Jay Powell with me today, and we're going to talk about 2 games from last week and what he's got coming up this week. Commodores right now 4-0 overall, Coach, moved up to number 8 in the state coaches poll, and had to make a road trip to pick up these last 2 victories. So you went up and played Atlanta Metro, rode the bus up, played that night. Won that game 84-60. Impressive win after young men having to ride that far up there. Let's talk about the game a little bit, Coach.
Yeah, you alluded to it. The men did a very good job of showing some good toughness. We got on the bus early that morning. We had about a 6-hour bus ride. We were able to drop our stuff off at the hotel, then go grab something to eat, and then go play. We played at 5 o'clock that evening or that afternoon. And the men, I think we were up 9 points at halftime, and the men were focused and working hard. And then in the second half, the men really stepped up the defensive intensity and owned the boards. And I was just very pleased, like you mentioned, after the bus trip and kind of just quick, drop the bags off in the hotel, grab something to eat, go play. They did a really nice job, and I want to speak to the leadership of Jeremy Harris and Van Johnson on that, because, of course, coaches, we know what we're in for and we know what we need to be preparing for and that it's a challenge, but Van and Jeremy as our captains did a good job of, just making sure the whole team was ready to play.
So at halftime, it was actually 43-38, up by 5, but then in the second half, you come back and outscored them 41-22. So Commodore stepped up tremendously in that second half to blow that game open.
Yes, we mixed in some zone defense that was effective, and then so when that kind of got them slowed down a little bit, we were able to, a couple of their men that shot the ball or made some shots, we were able to go back to our man and get out in the lanes to try to deny those couple guys the ball a little bit, and it worked into our favor. Just overall, it was a good team effort. Londell King had his best game of the season, played very well and rebounded the ball well. Of course, Jeremy Harris played well. But we had, I think, 3 or 4 men in double figures that game. Londell was, Jeremy was, then Dashane Murphy, our freshman point guard, who we've mentioned a few times already on the show. He stepped up and had a nice game with 18 points. He shot 60% from the field. And then he had, I think, 4 or 5 rebounds and 4 or 5 assists. So Dashane had a really nice game as well against Atlanta Metro.
And if you look at it, he was 4 or 7 from the floor, 2 or 3 from three-point line, 18 points overall. So a nice production out of a point guard.
Yes. Yeah, he's a good player, and he's been very coachable, and so we're pleased with his play, and we hope that it'll just continue to get better and better, and he'll grow as a player and as a man, and have a really nice season for us.
So, and then Jeremy Harris, returning player, led all scorers for the Commodores with 19, and then King followed with 16. So that's how those 3 men, those are your 3 leading scorers. Jeremy Harris, we expect that from, don't we, Coach?
We do. He has set himself apart as a man that can score the ball very well. He's done a very good job of leading our team and being one of our hardest workers day in, day out. And we're putting stuff on his shoulders and putting things on Van's shoulders. Because obviously everyone that coaches, you want as badly as anybody in the world to win every single game, every single possession. You want to win, but the men have to take the bull by the horns, if you will, and they kind of have to make sure that it happens. And the guys have those two guys have done a good job.
So that's the Commodores came out victorious, 84-60, and then we turned around and played Gordon State the next night, actually on their floor, and won that game 79-75. At halftime, it was 40-31. They come back and won the second half, though, Coach.
They're a good team. They were actually bigger than we are. They have a couple of big guys that are very good, both from Georgia, not too far from Barnesville, and they brought it to us early on the boards. Those offensive rebounds that they had, I think that they maybe had 9 for the game. And I would guess they probably had 6 in the first 5 minutes. Londell King came in and did a good job of kind of putting that to a halt, if you will. He went to the glass hard and claimed some rebounds, and that negated some of their energy and effort of going to the offensive boards. So Londell had a big part in kind of making that turn for us and leading that turn. We had 4 men in double figures scoring, and the game as a whole was a hard-fought game. You know, when you go to Gordon State, it's a beautiful campus, much like ours. Their arena is new and nice, like ours, and so it's a good game. They play with a lot of pride. And Coach Capers, he was at Aiken Technical College before, Gulf Coast and Aiken Tech, now Gulf Coast and Gordon State. We've been playing against each other for years because he's a good coach. His teams are prepared, and of course he's reliable as well. So good rivalry game out of state for us against Gordon State. But the guys stepped up. We went in at halftime, and we had done some good things. In the second half, we played pretty well. We didn't play that poorly, but if you look at their stats, they had a young man, number 10, who made 8 3-pointers against us. And it seemed like we were up maybe 9, maybe 10 points with about a minute to a minute and a half left, and we kept on trading 3s for 2s because he was just unconscious, just shooting the ball so well and from 26, 27 feet. And then those last couple of possessions where we sealed the game, we just went denial on him and tried to not let him catch it, and that was effective for us. But that young man did a good job of shooting the ball. Gordon State did a good job of getting that man the ball in that last couple of minutes of the game. But on the flip side of that, our men did a very nice job from the free throw line. In that last minute 15, maybe a minute and 13 seconds, we were 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Cody Johnson made a couple, Jeremy Harris made a couple, Van Johnson made a couple, and Dashane Murphy made a couple. So those guys stepped up, they toed the line, put the ball through the hoop, and so that was nice to see as well, because the first weekend of the season we didn't shoot free throws very well. We shot it at 57% that first game or two. So the guys did a much better job when it was pressure time and the game was on the line of making those free throws, and we were able to get out of there with a good road victory.
So Commodore 76% from the night from the floor, 19 of 25, 6 of 8 from the three-point line for 75%, 27 of 47 from the floor for 57.4%. That young man, number 10, 7 of 14 from three-point line, 9 of 19 from the floor. So he was in it for 26 points. Jeremy Harris with 18 points. Murphy with 18, Johnson with 13, and King with 11. So there's your 4 double-figure players there.
If it's okay, I'll also mention Cody Johnson, freshman from Bay High. He had 9 points in the game and did some very good things. The first weekend, I felt like Cody could play better. I thought Cody did some real nice things for us this past weekend. And as I mentioned, he stepped up to the line. And his situation in that last minute or so is we had some good penetration. The ball was dropped off to him, and he went up strong for the dunk. He got fouled very hard, and the referees decided it was a flagrant, which now I think is called a technical one, but just in layman's terms, it's a flagrant foul. And so he steps to the line as a freshman in his 4th college basketball game, last minute of the game, and they have a lot of the momentum because they already made a couple of those 3-pointers, and so the crowd's really in it. And so nobody's on the lane. It's just him and the official and the basketball. And he stepped up and 2 free throws in a row, nothing but net. And so he showed a lot of poise, and that was a really good job. It was a really good job by Cody to step up and make those 2 free throws for us.
They're 5 of 6 from the free throw line, so for the night. So that's not bad for a freshman come in with that few of games to play at that level. So scored 40 points in the paint, Coach.
Well, as you were mentioning those statistics, what stuck out to me is the 6 of 8 from the 3-point line for the game. And when you think about that, one, that's an exceptional shooting percentage from the 3-point line. But I'm also proud that we're not settling. Even though they had they had the size advantage, especially to start the game. We weren't just throwing it around around the horn and just launching 3-pointers. We must have had pretty good shot selection if we were getting in the paint and making that high percentage.
So that number stood out to me. It was like that. They had to be really disciplined running your offense because they weren't just launching. And so in a game that's tight like that, that's a good sign when they'll believe in what they're doing and they keep doing it and they don't just throw those balls up.
Yeah.
So now, Tuesday night, it's kind of like a Panhandle Conference game. The Lady Commodores will play at 5. The men will play at 7. against LB Wallace. And I understand their coach coaches the men and women and has for years. So you imagine coaching men and women, Coach?
It's never crossed my mind. It's never crossed my mind. Coach Knight over there does a good job, though. He's one of the only people that tries to do that, but he wears several hats over there at LB Wallace and does a nice job, and he's a good man. Be a tough game for us, our home opener, so you have a different type of adrenaline and emotions going through you when you're playing on your home court. So we'll have to tackle some of those things. And then also just the week as a whole for us, this will be possibly our toughest week before Christmas in the non-conference. LB Wallace on Tuesday night. We just got back really late Saturday night from our road trip. And then we have a couple days to get some work in. And then Friday and Saturday, we play very, very good teams in Niceville with San Jack out of Texas and Spartanburg Methodist out of South Carolina, both very, very good programs. So big week for the Commodores. When we go on these trips or we have a weekend, Friday, Saturday games, we talk about getting a check mark. That's winning both games. And so after the game on Saturday, we talked about this week, we have a chance for a check mark plus. We have a chance for 3 wins. So we definitely want to get that started on the right foot by getting a win against LB Wallace Tuesday.
And then Friday and Saturday, the women will play right before you at Northwest Florida. So it'll give the Commodore fans a chance to go see both teams from Gulf Coast play in the same night. They can see it Tuesday night, they can see it Friday, and they can see them Saturday.
Yes, very, very good scheduling. Coach Scoville and I started trying to do that a little bit last season, and we've done it a couple times this year as well, where we can play back-to-back. It's good for the fans. It's good for the men's team to be able to support the women's team and the women's team to be able to support the men's team during the games. So it's just a good situation, and I'm glad that it worked out this week where our fans and our players have a chance to have 3 doubleheaders.
And quickly through the Panhandle Conference, Northwest Florida right now 4-0, 2 wins. They scored 114 points in 2 games per game. So if we look at Tallahassee right now, they're 4-0. Scoring's about average. Chipola 4-1. They've scored 116 and 103 in 2 games. Pensacola State 2-1, average scoring. So what's the Panhandle Conference look like briefly, Coach?
Well, you touched on some things with some high-scoring games. I believe that's going to be indicative in a lot of ways of the way the Panhandle goes this year. I believe there will be some high-scoring games in the conference play. Northwest Florida State, as we've mentioned before, has a ton of talent. They've got a great situation over there and a great team. And then we're somewhere right there right now, a little bit below them, and we're working like crazy to catch up and pass them. But at the same time, we've played some very good teams. And so we're right there at 4-0. We're real pleased with that. It's a continuous thing. From the time you start official practice until the end of the season, you just want to grow and get better and better and see where it ends up.
Okay. Well, Coach, with all that being said, good luck Tuesday night. Commodore fans come out. They can see 2 games, 5 and 7. So for Coach Jay Powell, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.